This is K.M. Weiland, and you're listening to the 89th episode of the Wordplay Podcast. Although I've written nonfiction for almost as long as I've been writing fiction, outlining your novel, Plan Your Way to Success, is my first book-length work of nonfiction, and I'm enjoying exploring the differences between my process in writing it and the process I use when writing novels. Ironically, since the book is all about outlining, my outlining process for nonfiction is almost non-existent compared to what I do when writing a novel. Instead of spending months filling up notebooks with a longhand outline, my outline for nonfiction is just a simple list of chapter and section headings. And yet it's amazing how those headings fill out to become fat, chewy chapters. I'm almost half finished with the first draft, and enjoying every minute of it. I'm also excited to be able to collaborate with a number of wonderful authors who have agreed to answer 5 questions apiece about their own outlining experiences. The interviews, which present a wonderful gamut of opinions on the subject, will appear as a special feature within the book, which I can't wait to share with you all. Strengthening a thematic motif through repetition, the latest post in the video series on my blog, shows how Kurt Vonnegut's revered anti-war novel Slaughterhouse-Five used a repetition of key phrases to strengthen the reader's thematic experience. You can watch the video on my blog at wordplay-kmweiland, that's weiland.blogspot.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. Meanwhile, enjoy this week's podcast. Are you asking these important questions about your fantasy setting? In many genres, the setting is little more than a necessary backdrop, culled from the author's real life or research, for any number of necessary or arbitrary reasons. Before writing my fantasy, Dreamers, coming October 2012, my experience with historical fiction had allowed me to drop all my characters into real-life settings. I didn't have to create settings. All I had to do was reconstruct them from my own memory, the Wyoming setting in A Man Called Outlaw, or my research, the European and Middle Eastern settings in Behold the Dawn. But when I embarked into the magical world of fantasy with Dreamers, I was presented with a wonderful new opportunity. I was no longer constrained by the facts. Instead, I had the freedom to create an entirely new world where anything could happen. In the face of all these wonderful possibilities, authors can easily become overwhelmed. Where do we start? How do we create a world that not only incorporates beautiful and fascinatingly bizarre elements, but also one that is solid and realistic in every detail, from landscape to government? The first, and hopefully most obvious answer, is to let your imagination run riot. Force yourself to think outside the box, to reject cliches, and to hunt down ideas that excite you with their color and originality. But you're also going to want to get as specific as you can. The interview process I use in getting to know my characters can also be applied to your setting. If you're not familiar with my list of interview questions for characters, you can find them in my free ebook, Crafting Unforgettable Characters, at kmweiland.com/free-ebook.php. Fantasy author Patricia C. Reed has compiled a fabulously complete list of fantasy world-building questions, which you can find at sfwa.org/2009/08/fantasy-worldbuilding-questions, which I can't recommend highly enough. Below is an overview of subjects and questions to keep in mind as you develop your speculative setting. What does the landscape look like? What kinds of plants grow here? What's the climate? What kinds of animals are present in this world? What kind of societies are found in your world? What kind of clothing are in style? What moral and religious values define people's worldviews? What languages do they speak? What form of government is currently in place? How advanced is technology? What forms of long-distance communication are used? What modes of transportation are available? How has technology affected entertainment and the arts? How has technology affected weaponry and modes of warfare? How advanced are the fields of medicine and science? What are the natural laws of this world? Which natural laws are different from our world? For example, gravity. Is there a magical force in your world? How does it work? What are its limitations? What kind of people populate this world? Are there different races? How do customs differ between people of different races and citizens of different districts? Do the ethnic factions get along? What's the history of this world? How many years of recorded history are available? What historical epochs have shaped society? Even if you already have a good idea of the specifics of your world, taking the time to solidify your ideas by answering these and other questions can inject more life and realism into your setting and allow you to spot flaws and inconsistencies. And even better, it's a ton of fun. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmwyland, that's weiland.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.